Okay. Let's go ahead and get this started. Let me see if I can pull this up here. So probably won't leave this up, but we'll see. Hold on. Before I start talking, let me see if I can find this on the computer here so I can actually read comments, because you know that might be useful. Nope, don't play my own video, please. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody's Saturday going? Trying to get this all figured out here. I apologize. Can I even see my own live recording? How do I do that? Sorry, technical difficulties. I really should have prepared a little bit better. So on a side note, while we're talking about this, I absolutely hate YouTube's new Creator Studio beta. It is literally the worst. So I don't know what your questions are right now. I'm trying to figure this out here. And why can't I see any of this? This is just so bad. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, up and running. What's up, guys? So I'm doing this on a Saturday just because I have some free time. My girlfriend's out with her other girlfriend, and so she's having dinner with her, and I thought it'd be a good time to talk to you guys. So, if the volume's kind of low, sorry, there's not much I can do about that. Try and turn your volume up if you can. I'm just live streaming out of the iPhone, and seems to actually be decent quality this time, which is pretty good. I'm using the front-facing camera though, which is why I got to use a laptop to actually be able to read comments and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, sorry about that. When are you reviewing the Auteur? So I have 2 videos planned for Monday and Wednesday already, which are going to be the, wow, now I'm blanking on the names, the Clear and the Clear versus Alex video. Friday is probably going to be the Emotiva B1 speakers, and then this week, those are pretty much already made, so I already have all of next week's videos. And the Clear and Clear versus Alex videos are on Patreon if you're not already a patron. So that's where you can find them if you want those early. The Auteur video I'll probably be doing near the end of this week, and then I have to do the J2 sometime this week, as well as the 3.5X. And then probably another speaker review at some point. Oh, and then the Dark Voice review I have to finish up. So, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff coming, but any plans for reviewing DApps? Not really. Oh, whoops, let me change this live chat. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know whose questions are coming in when. DApps are really complicated, and I like to keep my videos really efficient. And there's so many factors to adapt that it's really hard for me to narrow down what people are going to directly appreciate. Some people like more power, some people like cleaner interface, some people like better battery life. And there's a lot of factors to where it's such a personal thing that I don't know if I'm comfortable judging what other people would be into. So not really on the DApps, unfortunately. Does this, by the way, does this look better than normal? And how does it sound actually? Hold on one sec. Better than normal? And how does it sound? Oh, okay. Yeah, it is pretty low. What did you have for breakfast today? I don't eat breakfast. I drink coffee in the morning. That's pretty much it. I don't usually eat until about 12 or 1 because I do intermittent fasting because I eat like shit, but like to keep my my weight kind of around the 190 mark. And I need to eat better though. That's something I definitely need to do. So, you know, best DAC to use with the 789. I use a topping DX7S balanced into the 789, and that's been a really good DAC. I think that I would assume that Masteroff, because they seem to be using that housing, because they use it for the Cavelli amps, they use it for the THX and a couple other amps. I'm assuming that they're probably going to make a DAC module that does balance for that specific amplifier, especially because, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of their most requested items is that THX. So they'd be kind of silly not to capitalize on that. So yeah. Howdy from Texas. How's it going, man? Texas times two. Sweet. We got 2 Texans in here. I love Texas, dude. You know what I love about Texas? I like the death penalty in Texas. Like, it's like they have like a kind of expedited window. I love that. I don't know why. Just like if you do something bad enough, they're like, nope, front of the fucking line. We're gonna cut your head off, and that makes me happy because I don't know. It's just interesting. But have you heard the Focal Alire? No. So there's a couple Focal headphones that I haven't heard. The Alire is one of them. The new like Stelia and whatever their brand new one is that's closed. But from India, how's it going? I wonder how the live stream works over there. I wonder if it's good quality or not. What headphones would you recommend looking for a flat frequency response for a studio? I have a pair of M50s, but was wondering if there's anything better. I prefer personally M40s over M50s, but if you're working in a studio, you're really going to want to invest in a good pair of speakers because if you can do measurements, if you're capable of doing measurements and adjusting with DSP, you can get speakers to measure at a lot flatter of a line than you can with headphones. Although there are other factors that play into speakers that don't play into headphones, but if you're going for kind of the most purest reference, you're going to want to invest in some really high quality studio monitors. And you know, don't take my word for that. Go look at any video of any studio out there, like a high quality studio. They're using speakers a lot of the times for a reason. Now, granted, it's very expensive, but you're going to have to judge on what's valuable for your work as an investment, and you know, what's not worth it, because obviously, you know, $40,000 Genelec or Genelec Sam speakers probably not worth it, but that's up to you to decide, man. Is the MDR 1A review coming next week? No, the MDR 1A is really taking a little bit of a backseat for now. I got a lot of stuff to get done. I want to do a new room tour because obviously I got the couch, I got acoustic foam, it doesn't echo like a mofo anymore. I changed the desk up, I got a new pair of speakers, got a new amp, got a new DAC. I think I even got a new chair since last time, maybe not. Got a new keyboard, so I want to do another room tour just as kind of like an update thing. Especially because those people seem to be really interested in them, which is good for views for me, and people seem to be interested, which means that, you know, I want to give people what they're interested in seeing. So MDR 1As are getting a backseat. Do I review budget stuff? It depends. It depends on what it is. There's like a lot of cheap IEMs, and the problem, or there's a lot of cheap like $20 headphones, and the problem with them for me is like it's a matter of you know, who's the audience who are looking for this headphone, and you know, are they really going to be interested in sound quality, or are they just going to be interested in something that's cheap and good? And I kind of had to balance that. So oh yeah, Lucas, thanks for the donation there, but sorry. So actually I don't know, here I'll just spell it because I don't know how to, I'm not on my account on this, it's on a different account. So it's a Topping, TOPPING DX7S, and if somebody could write it in there for him, I'd definitely appreciate it. Yeah, so the new room is part of the new project. So the new project is, which I'm not going to go fully into. Thank you, Israel and Victor, appreciate it. The new project is something that's going to be including another channel, as well as new content that's audio related on this channel. And I also needed to get something that was a little bit better for speakers so I needed to sit further away from a desk for kind of the mid-range testing. So that's where the couch comes in, and I finally, well, we'll talk about that some other time. Um, uh, I think I missed your question, Neil. I apologize. Um, hmm. Sorry, I'm trying to. I recently bought 7 pairs. Yeah, I don't know what the. Are the Modhouse Argon still the best T50 mod so far? Yeah, I think so. I think like there are other ones that I would recommend for different reasons, but if you're asking like personal preference, I do like the T50s the most. Although my recommendation for other people might change just depending on what you're looking for. But if you're like just straight up curious about my preference, yeah, the T50s are probably the best. I like the bass response on them, and the thing about them that stands out to me the most is that they don't sound like anything else. Like when I think of an Argon and what the Argon sounds like, I can't think of another headphone that sounds like that does. It doesn't, other headphones may soundstage better or wider, but they don't have the same soundstage like style almost or feeling that the Argons have. So the Argons are unique, and that's a big reason as to why I like them a lot. Are there any closeback sets in review for the Horizon or that you'd like to try? So I actually have the Sony MDR1As coming out and the Sony Z1Rs. Wait, 01, yeah. 01's the car, Z1R's the headphone. I have the Sony Z1Rs here, and I'm going to be reviewing those. And those are a great pair of headphones. For like closed, they're probably the best closed headphone I've tried so far. No, they are the best closed headphone I've tried so far, 100%. But it's weird because there's a lot of leak for a closed back headphone, and I think they're listed as closed, but it's almost like a mesh material on the outside, like a really thick mesh, in a weird way. I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but they leak a little bit, so they're not completely sealed, but effectively they're a closed back headphone. But opinions on the LCD2C. I love them at Exponent. I really want to buy them. I really want them to be my next headphone. I love the LCD2C. Yeah, for sure. I think that there are other headphones at that price point that do certain things better. Like if you want a studio headphone, like 1990s are probably better. If you want a really analytical pair of headphones, I might check out the Alex also. But if you like the sound signature that offers, the price, it's really hard to beat, in my opinion. Not a lot of headphones beat it, and they're built really, really well. Super comfortable. The pads are phenomenal. Just super great. I'm gonna drink some water here. So are the SHP 9500s the best open back headphone under 100? So, or are they still the best open back under 100? Actually, hold on one second here. I've been using this pair of 558s that you can find on, they're no longer available unfortunately, but you can find them on eBay for about $40 to $60 on average. And these things are amazing. I've really been kind of listening to those a lot. Like that's why they're the only headphone on my desk right now, actually. And I'm not even reviewing them for the next few days, maybe even weeks. So those are probably the best in my opinion. I think they beat out 9500s because the 9500s to me have one fatal flaw, and that's the sibilance. And the 558s do not have that. But there are also a lot of people who don't like the Sennheiser sound, and that's a very Sennheiser-y sound signature, which is good for me, not great for everybody else. Or not great for some other people, but I like them. Donation from Jimmy Francis. I appreciate it. Thank you. Best amp and DAC for Argon Mark III that isn't so $ probably expensive. You could do a Magni 3, but I think the Argons, like most headphones, especially planars, benefit from really clean amps. So I would say probably like an S DAC, or yeah, you could probably do an S stack or like one of the JDS Lab stacks. Um, and then I'd probably say a liquid spark. You're gonna want a little bit of power because argons do require a little bit, but that's just like a $200 stack. I would recommend if you want to go more and you don't want to like I don't know what you mean by expensive, but like under 500, I would see if you can get your hands on like I don't know, the AU Next 7S was good, especially if you get a balanced version of the argons. Um, the what else had a little bit of power. If they ever go on sale again, you could wait for the THX 789 if you want to spend under that much, and that's a great amplifier. And then DACs are, and there's a bunch of like $100 DACs that are really great performers. So, but I'm not a DAC expert, so I wouldn't be able to answer that portion. Which DAC do I recommend using with the Atom? I was using it off the S DAC. I love the S DAC. If you're using it out of a computer, it has one input, which is the micro USB, and then one output. It's really simple. It works well. It doesn't have a power brick. It's powered off a USB. So for me, it was like a very simple, easy to use unit, and I used it for a long time. Don't have any complaints. None. My personal favorite overall headphone right now. You know, I don't know. I like certain headphones for certain things. Oh, no. Aria. I think, yeah, Aria is very good. Very good. Like, that's probably... I don't know if I want to say that, but it's one of the best headphones I've tried. And I like the price point. I like the comfort. The only questionable thing about it is the build quality. But it's really good. For me. Just for my taste. I think that guy has uploaded zero. Oh, is he talking about? Hold on. Oh, I skipped a few questions. I'm sorry. Any recommendations for an affordable headphone amp, or affordable speaker headphone amp that is clean and good? If you don't need anything great, you could get the 8018. That's pretty cheap. I think that's under 200. If you want to spend a tiny bit more, you could look at the Emotiva A100. That's also really good. Have you auditioned the Meze Imperium? I did try them at RMAF. That's a show environment, so everything has to be like taken with a huge grain of salt. It didn't massively impress me. The fit was a little bit weird, but there have been headphones that I've tried at RMAF and then tried here, and I love it here, and I didn't love it at RMAF. So that's basically it. It is almost like I didn't even try them at all. So I don't really have a strong opinion about them. Clear versus Aria, I like the Aria more. Clear is very good though, and I can see why certain people would like it. Well, you'll see my opinions on the Clear review, which comes out on Monday in a couple days. If you could own 2 to 3 headphones, what would it be? If I could sell them or had to keep them, that's the real question. Because if I could sell them, Sennheiser HE1, Sennheiser HE1, and Sennheiser HE1. Hold on. Nick donated $1. No question, Nick? Leave me a question, man. I don't want to work for free. Come on. Or I don't want to get donated for free. I don't know. Anyways, I don't actually. Most of the questions though, I can't answer thoroughly, so I feel bad when you guys ask questions. Like I feel bad accepting the donations, anyways. It's a weird thing for me. Doesn't feel earned for some reason. I don't know why. Monoprice M560, was that the... If that's the closed/open one, I had it a while... I bought it a while ago. I never fell in love with it. It never really blew my mind. Like a long time ago. I always felt like the 600 which I had at the same time as that, was like far and above better. But I don't know anything about the Acai DAC. I just don't know. I apologize. I have HD6XX and Argon Mark III looking for a headphone that was less than 700 to complement these two in a different way. Well, if you already have bass covered with the Argon and mid-range covered with the uh, 6XX, you could look at a DT1990 that's going to give you a very different sound signature. It's going to be really good for gaming. It's going to be very technical, possibly bright headphones. So if you're really treble sensitive, I would stay away from it. But if you're not, it's a good option. Sundar is also good, although I would see if you can find it at like $350 because they go on sale a lot. M1060 is unique and different, not too expensive, and you could even get a couple other pairs of headphones for under 700. You know, like if you got a M1060 for $300, a I don't know, or even like a Sundara as well. For 350, you'd be at like 650, so you could save a little bit of money there. Oh, thanks, Nick. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. The above message shows 7 headphones I bought, and my question was between the 1990s. I don't have any experience with the Sendies yet. There's another reviewer called Josh. Crap, I can't remember his last name. But his channel name is Honest Audio, and he offered to send them to me if he buys them. So I don't know if that's coming for sure though, but hopefully soon. I discovered your channel looking for the HE4XX. Sorry, that was a while ago. I still stand by what I said, but the quality is not quite there. Spent my Saturday binging it. I don't know what you mean by that, but thanks for the support, man. I appreciate it. You have to get some inferior God tier headphone. I hear that, but there's a lot of headphones that people consider God tier that I kind of just, I don't know. They're okay, they're good. They're just not, like, if you're gonna cost like anything $1,000 and up really has to wow me when I put it on, and more often than not, that doesn't happen. You know, I'm kind of a big believer in the quality of like mid-range gear being like between $100, well, 150, starting with the HD58X all the way up to like 1,000. I think you're gonna get really good cost to performance there. While not necessarily going totally cost efficient, if that makes any sense. I got a couple donations, guys. I'm sorry. 1 second here. Oh, Sergio. Oh, thanks, man. Like your content. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then Gandak says, what amp and DAC is the best for HC650? I think if you want to get like one unit, probably the Element. JDS Labs Element was really good. I didn't even hear it for that long, but I was really impressed. I mean, if you're talking about like reasonably priced, obviously the best one, I wouldn't be able to tell you the best out there, but yeah. Are active speakers any good, or is it worth investing time and money into passive speakers plus receiver? Currently looking at Eclipse powered series. Yeah, so here's the thing. You're going to have, like, when you're looking at powered versus active, you really want to fit what your needs are, what your space looks like, what you want, and where you want to allocate your money. And if you plan on upgrading in the future, or if you have a few sets of speakers that you use on a day-to-day basis, yeah, you probably want a receiver. That way you can just use the same receiver, same cables, just plug it into different speakers. But the truth about active versus passive in my opinion at least, is that there are some active speakers that sound better than some passive speakers, and there are some passive speakers that sound better than active speakers. Um, there's a whole lot of factors that go into what the actual construction of the speaker is like. What type of materials, what shape are they using, what are they doing any DSP anywhere along the lines, or crossover, anything like that. So there are so many factors that play, and that's not even including the big factors of like what actual drivers are they using and how are they placed, what's the cabinet structure look like. Uh, there's a whole lot of factors, and one of the least important ones when you're not really deep into having already purchased everything is going to be like active versus passive. Just fit whatever fits your needs better. And if passive is something that you want to look into it. You're going to get great results from both, as long as you're smart and checking out which speakers are the sound quality that you want. And then if they happen to be active, then great. If not, then look into what it costs to get a good receiver. At least that's been my experience. So take that for what it's worth. Do you think the Little Bear B4 is a good amp, and would you recommend something different, portable budget? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have the D50, no, Aylin. Love your reviews. You're doing an amazing job. Oh, thank you. Wow, two people with the same name back to back. That's interesting. It's a unique name. Have you ever heard of David Gressinger or Gressinger? Gressinger. I never know how to say his name. Yeah. No, I definitely have heard of him, but I think I missed some questions up here. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the 650s are a great pair of headphones. Which would you choose? Israel says, which would you choose? Grado GS2000Es, which, to catch those of you who don't know, I hate that headphone. It's the only headphone. There are two headphones that I would consider to hate. That's one of them. Hyphen bolts. Wouldn't own them if somebody gave them to me. For the rest of your life, or guacamole every meal for the rest of my life. Oh man. Guacamole's so nasty. I'm gonna go with GS2000E, and I'm just not gonna listen to headphones anymore. I'm just gonna go speakers only at that point. Randy says the THX is coming back. I hear the THX is coming back soon. So here's my opinion that I don't know anything for sure. I just hear what people freaking tell me and theorize and stuff like that. But on the simple base of like, if you look at how many requests they've had, they'd be kind of silly not to bring it back. Like, they're probably gonna bring it back at some point. It's just they probably weren't. If I had to guess why it's been handled the way it's been handled, is they probably weren't expecting to sell as many as they sold, and they probably weren't expecting to get as many requests as they got. So they sold probably all the stock that they had already built up. I think it sold out in like 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken. That could be wrong. Don't take that for as like a granite statement or anything like that. But and then I think they have north of or near 15,000 requests for them, and I think they sold 2,000 or 3,000. So, they'd be silly not to make any more. They were obviously profitable when they sold the 2,000 of them, and so selling like 10, 12,000, it would just be even better. So they're bringing it back. They're probably just building up stock, if I had to guess, for the launch. DT 1990s or 880s? Are those 880s over there? I don't know. I don't know for sure. I have another bear coming soon, but I'm not sure if it's 880s or 990s, and I don't want to go and get it. But it's like one of the older school silver ones. I think it's like a 250 ohm something. accidentally woke up at 6:30 and got lucky. Nice. Uh, do you have any recommendations for headphones to watch movies with or play non-competitive games? Love your video. Keep it up. So competitively, and I don't know if I expressed this enough in the review, but competitively speaking, I don't think the Mobius is as good as some other headphones that I've tried. For pure competition, mostly because, when I'm focused on a game, you don't want to move your head around because your vision blurs and your eyes are a lot more of an acute instrument than your ears are, and you're going to react to stuff a lot faster than your ears are. So the best, the better you can keep your vision in a video game, the better off you are. That being said, if you're not playing competitively, the Mobius, and I don't think I stressed this as much as I should have in the review, is a great headphone, especially for movies. It's wonderful for that weird three-dimensional experience. It's very strange. And if you're just kind of not looking for the purest sound or the most high fidelity sound that you can get, and you just want something fun and easy to listen to, the Mobius is a great option. It's very good. Would you recommend the Sennheiser 5.8X or the Hyphaman 4XX? Depends on the sound signature that you like. The 4XX is going to have better bass response. Some people call the 5.8X grainy in the treble response. I don't really see that. But if you listen to really bass heavy music, you're probably going to appreciate the 4XX more. But if you listen to anything with a lot of vocals in it, a lot of natural acoustic instruments, things that are very well, I don't want to say well made because I don't mean to be derogatory towards other types of music, but anything that has really good recordings, I think the 5.8X you're going to benefit a lot more from. And I do highly recommend those headphones. I personally, if you're curious about that at all, my personal preference aligns a lot more with the 5.8X than the 4XX. But the 4XX is a very good headphone. Really good. Do you have experience with older isodynamic headphones like Yamaha YH1, YH100? I do not. I don't really have any experience with that, unfortunately. So, yeah. Oh, the last THX drop only sold 204 units. I thought they only had one drop. I could be wrong though, but I don't know. Did they only have 204 available? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But oh, what's up from Hawaii? Anyways. Real quick, personal note. Did you guys see the Star Wars trailers? And I want to talk about this for a sec. I don't know why. There's two Star Wars trailers that dropped. One was for a video game called, I think, The Fallen Order, something like that. And then the other one was for The Rise of Skywalker. I don't want to. I don't want to deal with this, but I want to watch it. I don't know. They did a good job with both trailers. I am wary of both because EA on the gaming end, and then Disney and what they've done with the Star Wars franchise so far for the movies, and so I'm very cautious, but I'm excited. Should be fun. But yeah, I don't know. What state are you from? I live currently in Washington State, not Washington, not Washington, D.C. My family and where I grew up was California, specifically out of Sacramento, which is by Lake Tahoe. Sacramento is the capital of California. Zach Balfour. I just wish J.J. Abrams did the whole trilogy. I 100% agree. Um, you know, J.J. Abrams has proved to be a good director time and time again. The Force Awakens, honestly, the first time I watched The Force Awakens, I almost walked out of the freaking theater. I was so pissed off. And then for some reason, I don't know if my expectations just got lowered, but I started liking the movie a little bit more as time went on. It's still one of the weakest of the standard saga, like the Skywalker series, the actual episodes, not the Solo or Rogue One. Um, and part of it, part of the reason why I want it to be consistent is because one of the biggest reasons why I didn't like the way that I view what was the last one? Oh my god, I can't remember the name. Episode 8, whatever the name of it. Why can't I remember that? Weird. Whatever. Episode 8. God damn. That's so strange. Uh, oh, the Last Jedi, right? Yeah, something like that. Episode 8, for me, it was, if it was just that movie, it would be a decent movie. But the problem is, it doesn't fit well within the existence. Who is episode 8 was directed by Ryan Johnson, not J.J. Abrams. Just for everybody watching, so we're all caught up. Oh yeah, The Last Jedi. Yeah. So uh, the problem is that episode 8 exists in a world that exists already. So it has to play well, like the whole, hyperspace travel and blowing through a bunch of enemy ships. Uh, that's basically lore breaking, right? And then the world that J.J. Abrams built up in episode 7, half of that being torn down by episode 8, it's just not a very consistent look. And the problem with episode 8 for me, while it would be a great movie if no other Star Wars movie existed, I think it honestly would. Like, it was an okay movie. The problem was the theories, the messaging, the storylines of all the other films didn't play well with it. And so it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But if J.J. Abrams had directed it, it would have been a little bit better. Well, in my opinion, actually, a lot better just because of the consistency. And then, especially with episode 9 coming out this Christmas, being directed um, by J.J. Abrams again, it would have been better just for the sake of directorial style consistency, because they are directed very differently if you know a lot about film. But sorry, rant over. Zero Views or DMS? I do, I do have a bunch of comparison videos for headphones. I wonder if I could compare those two. Like, DMS is a picky asshole, and Zero View is like the opposite. He doesn't give a shit. So, it'd be kind of interesting. Huh. Might be something I might work on. Who knows? No, I haven't. I have not reviewed the Sendy Ava yet. Also, how long have I had a beard? So, um, I grow hair really quickly, and a lot of it, like I grow hair all the way up to here, and all the way down to my, like it literally will blend in with my chest hair, and so I have to. What I do is I trim it, and I don't like to trim my whole face because it always looks like it's like I don't know. I don't really like that 5 o'clock shadow, and I hate shaving. So I've pretty much had the beard since I was 19, 18, something like that. I just always kept it. It's just it's like a lot more efficient for me to have a beard that I don't have to maintain on literally what would otherwise be a daily basis. Because I've talked about this before, but I'm a pretty hairy guy. Like, my beard will connect to my hairline in the back, like a solid connection, not like one or two hairs. Like, it's almost connected. So I have to do a lot of upkeep, and I hate upkeep. So the beard is partly because I personally think I look better that way, and a large portion of it is just because I hate just keeping up with everything. So, yeah, everybody's kind of like on this Cindy Ava train, and they look nice, but I have no clue as to what they sound like. But yeah, I don't know. YouTube is Owen. Or I'm sorry. Who said that? Who said that? Skirt, SKRT. Dang, how is YouTube not going to notify me about this? Yeah, YouTube is pretty bad with that. Also, since I'm not on my actual account, like I'm on my girlfriend's account on this, I'm seeing the chat is already delayed, and then I'm sure the actual or the live stream is already delayed, and the chat I'm sure is delayed even more. So I'm getting questions really late. I apologize. Have you heard the Status Audio headphones? I have not. I've heard they're pretty good, and if I'm not mistaken, they're closed back, correct? They look kind of like the Audio Technica style closed back design, but I have the HD58X and I see the HD660S for $300. Would the 660S be worth picking up? Not if you already have it. I didn't hear them back to back, I don't think. And I never took the backs off because they weren't my headphone. But I don't remember the 660S's, or I don't remember the 58X sounding as good as the 660S's, but I don't think an extra $300 for a slightly different sound signature, and I mean slightly different. Like you're getting like, it's just like, 5% better this, 5% better that. Not massive amounts, not massively different. So no, I don't think so. Sony Z1R is coming. Yes, it is coming. Haven't heard the VRM1. A bunch of people are like, I'm getting them, I'll send them to you. Like, literally 4 or 5 people. And nobody's sent them to me yet. So I'm not in a big hurry, though. This live stream will be recorded on your channel? Yeah, it should be. CB1s are built like trash, but sound pretty darn good for $60. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get one or the other for $60. Like you're gonna get well built, or you're gonna get sounds great but isn't built well. Yeah, Star Wars is being overshadowed massively by Avengers Endgame at the moment. I'm a Star Wars fan, but it's backwards lately. Yeah, so Avengers is, I think the thing that Avengers has really highlighted is, in terms of like the public sphere, is that people in general really like easy to watch movies. That's what I think I don't consider the story or the directorial style of any of the Avengers line movies, like the MCU. I don't really consider any of those movies to be superior to other movies or other directorial or directors out there. But I watch every single one of them because they're so easy to watch and they're really enjoyable. And I think they've really capitalized on that market. Whereas Star Wars is more deeply there's the general public who probably enjoys like the new Star Wars movies, and then there's the people like me who are like deeply rooted in lore. Like I grew up on the movies, I grew up on Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, Knights of the Old Republic. Like I just grew up on that stuff, so I'm deeply seated in that lore. So when things break lore, that's part of the disappointment. Now, granted, part of that disappointment is my own built up, watching like YouTube theories and coming up with my own theories as to what's going on. So part of that disappointment is my own built up expectation, but whatever. While Josh, you were saying that anything above $1,000 is not really worth it, and there are high tier. Is there any high tier that impresses? So almost all of the high tier headphones impress me. Like they're very good headphones. It's just a matter of like diminishing returns. And there's a large portion of people okay, within the spectrum of people who would consider purchasing $1,000 or more headphone, there's a portion of people who it's going to be a very small portion of their income, like people who make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year, throwing $3,000 at a headphone that they really like, probably not that big of a deal for them. Uh, but that's a very small portion of that, in my opinion. I don't have any statistics to back this up. It's just what I assume. And then there's a larger portion, probably I would guess anywhere between 80 to 90%, to where they're thinking of this as like a really long-term purchase, to where they want it to last for years. And then I have to think about, okay, what's the user experience for the average customer for this? And that's where I try and list every review. Like, if I were to compare it a flat playing field, every headphone under $100 would be down here, and then I don't know if you can see that, and then every headphone over $100, most of the time, is going to be like way up here, or kind of right here, and then every headphone over $500 is going to be way up here. And if this is highly recommended, middle of the road, not recommended at all, it can't play on the same playing field because they're not in the same market. They have to all be judged in their own markets, in their own categories. But I think the audience for different, like if you're going to look at a $20 headphone, right, you can give a lot of room for error there, because for the most part, people are just going to be throwing at something like that for, it's not going to be a significant portion of anybody's income. And if it is, if you're making that little, you probably shouldn't be buying headphones. That's my opinion. But, it's like there are other things that are going to be much more profitable. And if you're pushing yourself that close, I don't recommend buying headphones, because headphones at the end of the day are a luxury. They're a toy, essentially. So when people are buying really expensive gear, I have to think of like, okay, is this going to blow their socks off or not? Is it blowing my socks off or not? Like, would I purchase this? Would I spend thousands of dollars on this? Most of the time, even though it's very good, I don't consider it the cost of a cheap car, right? Like, I just don't. Or a really nice TV or something like that. Like, there's a lot of other things that I think might be worth it. Not for every case, though. Not for every headphone. Like, the Focal Clear is an amazing headphone. The Odyssey LCD-X, an amazing headphone. The LC4, an amazing headphone. The Arias, an amazing headphones. The Tours are a really good headphone. Those are all over $1,000, and I could maybe, not every one of those, but I could see myself buying a few of those if I had the money to do it, or the willingness to do it. But I also, when I'm reviewing things, I have to take it as like, okay, if somebody's gonna buy this, are they gonna spend $1,000 and just go eh? Or are they gonna spend $1,000 and go, holy shit, that was a good $1,000 spent? So that's kind of I haven't heard the Aeolus outside of RMAF, so I don't have any strong opinions on it, Justin. Okay, Hex, I don't know if you can cancel that, but I don't have an opinion on that question. I don't know anything about that, so I just can't answer your question. I feel really bad about accepting that donation. So see if you can find a way to cancel that. I don't know anything about playback issues on iOS 12, unfortunately. I apologize. I just don't know. Coaxial speakers, I don't have any issue with coaxial speakers. Like, you're going to have some coaxial speakers that sound better than some standard or like Diapolito speakers. And then vice versa, you're going to have some Diapolito that sound better than standard, some standard that sound better than both. I haven't tried too many coaxial speakers though. Actually, I think I've only tried one. And it was the KEF Q100s, and I love them. Those things are some seriously kick-ass speakers. They fall short in some areas, but for the price, they're exceptional. So yeah. Close back upgrade path from Argons. don't know. I don't know. I'm not massively impressed with the M1060C, which is even about the same price range, so I don't know if that could be considered an upgrade. The Z1Rs are far too expensive to be like a direct upgrade, especially not like an upgrade path. So I don't know for sure. Victor, Game of Thrones hype. Yes, as soon as my girlfriend gets home from her little late lunch here, we're gonna start doing some Game of Thrones binging until tomorrow's episode. There's actually a website or an Instagram page that she was telling me about. I think it's Game of Thrones Facts or Thrones Facts or something like that. And they have a bunch of recommended episodes to catch up on. And I think we're going to follow that guide and in preparation, because Game of Thrones is awesome. Oh, Hex, no, it's not. It's not like copyright or anything like that. It's just I feel bad accepting money for a question that you asked that I have no clue how to answer. So I feel bad about that. But if you want to leave it, like, it's cool. It's cool with me. It's not going to get me in trouble or anything like that. But same thing with Lucas. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried the RCL Pro or the Enog DAC, so I can't answer that. So try and take that back if you can. Balanced cable's worth it. If you have a balanced system, yes. Simply because it's kind of like, you know, if you have an amplifier and a DAC that runs balanced, you know, you're going to want to get the best out of that if you already have it. If you're considering going balanced, I don't know. It depends on what you get, but you don't need to go balanced. It's not a massive thing to do, and it is an extra cost. Cables cost a whole lot more. DACs cost a whole lot more in general. Like, I don't think there's any good measuring balanced DACs that are $100, whereas there's a ton of well measuring single-ended DACs. So it's extra costs on pretty much every aspect. Man, you guys are having some pretty technical conversations here in the comments. Like, you're talking about stuff that I don't even know about. Like, DAC port HD. I don't even know what the fuck that is. And I do have to pee, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up here pretty soon. I'm trying to drink more water. So if anybody has any questions here for like next couple minutes. I have a pair of TXO Argons on the way, and then I bought used. Anyone have any opinions on pilot pad versus Modhouse deerskin strap? So I like the deerskin strap better than the pilot pad, because the pilot pad, it's more cushy, but the strap, in my opinion, one, it doesn't weigh as much as the pilot pad does, and the strap, for at least my head, distributes the weight a lot better. So, yeah. You can send me a tin of Gamer Girl pee. Has a headphone ever made me cry? No. I've cried one time in my living memory, and that was when my dog died, but I'm not a crier. Except for that one time. That was really sad. And like really immediate. And not expected. But, yeah. Do you think the LCD2C lacks clarity and details versus the LCDX? Oh yeah, 100%. The LCDX is, in my opinion, in a lineup, that is like the LC. I can totally, in my opinion, justify somebody upgrading from a 2C to an X. I think the X is a much more complete headphone. Lucas, Ask sex or food. Well, I'm gonna have to go with food because I'd die if I didn't have it. Whereas sex, although it would suck a lot, I wouldn't die. Best stack under 350 paired to the THX 789. I don't know. You're gonna want to find something balanced, and I can't think of off the top of my head. Well, no, I don't know if that's balanced. So I am not sure. You're gonna have to do your own research on that one. I don't know for sure. I'm about to order the 2C. I have the Magnum 2 Uber right now, but would like to try something else. What are you talking about, Superfly? Are you talking about try something new in terms of a amp, or oh, you know what? That's actually not true. The crying thing is not true. I lied about that. I'm sorry. Interstellar makes me cry almost every time I see it. Something about that storyline and the way it's filmed just makes me like so sad, so depressed. Even though that's one of my favorite movies, but so sad. It's probably my favorite movie because of this. Oh yeah, SU8 is balanced, so you might want to check that out from SMSL. Yeah, Lion King. The new Lion King looks good. Scar, because it's not voiced by Jeremy Irons, is not nearly as badass as it was, voice-wise. But the CGI looks nice. And yeah, first plane hour to buy in the $300 price range. What would you recommend? You're gonna get a lot of hate from the audio community, but I love M1060s. You could either do those 4XXs. You could try and find used Sundaras, and maybe used Argons. Or did I say 6XSs? I mean 4XXs. I really like the M1060s though, but they do have issues. But new Lion King is some terrifying Uncanny Valley shit. Yeah, yeah. The Uncanny Valley is funny. It's so for those of you who don't know, there's something called the Uncanny Valley. I think the full phrase is the Uncanny Valley of almost, but it's when you see something that's almost something but not quite, it's uncomfortable. Like when you see a robot baby because it's not like a look-alike robot baby because it's not directly looking like a robot and not directly looking like a baby. It looks freaky. That's called the Uncanny Valley of almost. Because it almost looks like a baby and it almost looks like a robot, but not quite. Since you're mentioning that you're wrapping up, I'd love to mention that this is the first of your streams that I caught, and it's super great. Keep doing what you're doing, Josh. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Stick around. I definitely appreciate having you guys here. Even though I don't, like, normally I get about 100 to 120 watchers. I normally do it on Sunday morning. I think people are just more available than like a Saturday afternoon. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I'd like to be more consistent, but I just can't be right now. Interstellar is one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. Yeah, it's definitely got some storyline issues, and it's not scientifically accurate by a pretty large margin. But when you're directing a film like that, like, you have to keep it entertaining, and I think they took some liberties in terms of scientific accuracy for entertainment, and I'm so glad they did. It's one of my top 5 movies for sure. So what is headphone detail versus resolution by Josh Weston? So resolution and detail, in my opinion, I have to pee so bad. Resolution and detail, in my opinion, are fairly interchangeable terms. There are some cases where, well, let's just start with the basic definition. So it's basically the amount of like little tiny details in everything. So sometimes you'll get a headphone that has great resolution or detail in the top end, to where strings, you can hear like every little crickle, or crackle and hiss and snap and everything like that. And then sometimes you'll and then on that same headphone, maybe the mid-range is as texturized. So you'll know the difference when you hear it if you haven't already. Um, you know, it's like seeing, you know, a 780p video to a 1080p video. It's like there's a level of clarity to it that isn't there on the other headphones. So, but it's one of those things where you'll know. Go pee. Uh, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to, I'll leave this open for a little bit while I go take a piss. Uh, you want to keep yourselves entertained? I'll be right back. Let them know in the comments what I'm doing though, so nobody like arrives. Oh man, I have to pee so bad. I'll be right back. Nobody do anything stupid. Thank you. Oh man. Whew. That was so much better. And not a lot of people left, which is funny. Uh, as long as you're okay with the odd frequency response to LCDX, yes. Yeah, 100%. What's up, Metal? How's it going, man? Um, okay. Where were we? Oh, that feels so much better. Ah. Quick, do something stupid. Uh, you think Josh pisses so much drinking so much water? Yeah, yeah. No, I peed like, so I've already drank. This is a half gallon, I think. I've, I don't know. This is 1.8 liters. No, it's a half gallon. Okay, so I'm drinking like one of these already today, as well as like 2 cups of coffee, and sometimes I just gotta pee. You know what happens. Uh, Gonna take a lunch. That would be funny, but it's just like here. You know, there's a 4-hour video of like, it's like keep an eye on something like the book, or this dude just did like a 4-hour video where he's like keep an eye on this, and he puts it on a table and then he leaves for like 4 hours straight, and that's the entire video. It's just like a book or whatever it was, just sitting there. But yeah. Yeah, did wash my hands. Who doesn't wash their hands, man? If you don't wash your hands, you're like you're just asking for something. Um, and the Hyphen HE1000 or HE1000 V2 is difficult to drive. I don't remember them being super hard to drive. No, not much harder than drive than most other things, but. I'm ready for a JB counts to 1 million in a single take video. No, no way. No, that's too much time, man. Although, if you do want to go viral, that's a pretty good way of doing it for not that much actual work. but not me. Don't want it that bad. Do I ever count how long it takes to pee? I have before, and I think my longest is close to like, I want to say 90 or 100 seconds before like I was like forcing myself to pee, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Why are we talking about pee? um, uh, you'd be surprised how many people don't wash their hands after using the bathroom. I went to public school. I ain't surprised. I know exactly that, you know, very few people do. I don't even always do it. I just do, I do it when I think about it. Sometimes I forget. But anytime I'm like typing though, for some reason I remember, like when I'm doing a lot of computer work, like I don't want to go to the bathroom and then, this is a weird conversation, but I don't want to go to the bathroom and then come back and just start like typing on the keyboard that I'm going to be using every day. Like it just, it's going to get nasty hella quick. You know, I was like, nah. Dark Voice is great, and I'll give a disclaimer for it right now. The review, and I said this in the review too, the review does not have the stock tubes on it, so everything I say is just strictly for fun, and yeah. So, R. Kelly is a horrible person. You know who is also a horrible person that nobody seems to care about is Cardi B. Like, how can you admit to drugging and stealing from people multiple times and still have the public just be like, whatever, it's just Cardi being Cardi. And then on top of it, your damn defense is that, you know, you've always been open about your past, about being a shitty person. It's like how the fuck is that a defense? It's like, no, you're a bad person. You should not be in a position where people look up to you in any capacity. I mean, I know that's harsh, but it's so true. It's like, especially imagining if the roles were flipped. Like if a dude was like, if I said, well, I'm not even going to say that. Well, but if a dude said those things, you know, if anybody said those things who was a guy, or maybe even a girl in a different position than Cardi B is in, you know, he or she would be put through the ringer publicly, but nobody seems to really care massively about Cardi B. So it's very surprising. It's very sad, you know, and especially within the famous community, the A-list celebrity or whatever, within that community, it's annoying to see the hypocrisy where people care about like Harvey Weinstein and people like that, which again, people who do that, horrible fucking people, they should not be in power. But the hypocrisy comes from when, oh no, he's the worst guy in the world, which, you know, granted, he's a very bad person, but then when she does something that's arguably bad too, straight up actually like illegal, really illegal, and then it's not that big of news. It's like, how is it not? You know? Yeah, Metal, like she literally said that she used to, I don't know if she said she molested them, but she said she would drug and steal from, I think her exact quote is like, I would drug and steal stuff from N-word people. Like that's what she said. Which is just like, Jesus. It's like, one, why would you ever admit that? Like that's like criminal 101. You never admit to the shit you've done before. But two, it's like, I'm mad at her for committing those acts, but I'm more mad at the community for seemingly not giving a shit about it. And then, yeah. This is a very weird stream, but whatever. Favorite game all time right now, Skyrim. 100%. Not really big on Bethesda right now. But Skyrim, that's probably the game I put the most total. Well, either that or Minecraft when I was a kid, because I grew up on Minecraft. So I don't know what I've put total amount of hours into, but currently Skyrim. Skyrim's great. What headphones would R. Kelly listen with? I don't know. He probably used IEMs actually. You must be behind, Lucas, because I got 17 likes, my man. 0 dislikes. Have you tried the Oblivion game? You know, the only game that I had time to play when I was in... Well, actually, no, that's not true. When I got my laptop was 2012. Skyrim came out in 2011. I played Skyrim on a friend's computer and his PlayStation 3 at his house in 2011 when it came out. And then when I got my computer, I got a laptop in 2012, and I played Minecraft and Skyrim from that point forward. So I unfortunately did not grow up with the game system that could play Oblivion. And going to Oblivion, I've read and seen a lot of like the lore stuff and learned a lot about the lore. But going back to Oblivion always seemed like a step down in my opinion when I love Skyrim so much. So the Oblivion I hear is great, but Lucas press F5. LC4 is the king of base. HU1000, if I recall correctly, did not match the kind of dynamics of the base of being a planar. Yeah, I think the LC4, but keep in mind, completely different price ranges. Like the LC4 is a stupidly priced headphone, so it's got to be the best at something, and I'll give it. Well, I don't know if it's the best at bass necessarily, because I think everybody has different definitions of better and worse, and some people like a little bit more. But yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely good. It's just a question of like, is it $4,000 good? And that's hard to. Oh damn, got an uptick of likes. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Do I like Fallout? You know, I never played any of the Fallouts except for Fallout 4. And while it was really fun at first, it just didn't really have that much longevity. I think I probably put about 60 hours into it, but I never quite fell in love with it. Biggest disappointment in headphones, for me, the Abyss poor mid-range. Yeah, so the Abyss, there's not their Diana, but the regular big headphones, I really don't like those that much. Mostly the fit though. They just don't. 7506 and the Nighthawk. I think is the 7506. The MDR 7506? You don't like that headphone? I mean, it's not that great for enjoyment, but it's super technical. Just got on. Drunks are you? Or favorite porn category? What's what the fuck? What's up with this question? I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite category. I'm not really much of a category type of dude. Like I don't go on looking for anything specific. Yeah, I don't think so. I know which stuff I don't like. I'll tell you that. If you could reach for one headphone, would you pick the Empyrean or the Stellia? The Empyrean, I think. I think the Empyrean. They just look so much cooler to me. And so far, well, the Focal's like a... Focal's sound signature is... One, they seem to be very consistent within their brand. It's just not going to be my favorite sound signature. But it's a pretty complete sound signature. It's just not going to be my favorite. Favorite Cam Jam this year didn't go. What's with these porn questions, man. I'd be under the 1% who want to spend $3,000 just for 90% gaming. Need an end game and amp DAC. Would you know if the 789? Yeah. So, well, I can't speak for the longevity of how long they would last. I can't really speak on the D1, although a lot of people seem to like it. The 789 is like, it's one of the best measuring amplifiers out there. So, and the only reason why I bring up the measurements is because like, there's going to be a lot of people who are saying that like in their experience, such and such amplifier is the best. And in my experience, this 789 of the amps I've heard is probably the best for a reference amp. But the measurements kind of back up that statement of being like, it is the best, but it's also like backed up by measurements. It's not just my opinion. So I think that's one of the safest bets, but it is very dynamic. If you're not used to hearing that, or if you want a warmer amp, it's not going to be the best. Yeah, the problem is like with going to the events is like there has to be something that's I know is coming that's really intriguing for me to be justifiably go to the events. And I also don't always like the really um, more businessy type of feeling that I get at some of those events. I plan to go on to some local events uh, soon, I think, hopefully. And hopefully those are going to be better because I think those are like community driven rather than manufacturer driven. But I don't like being sold to all the time. Like sometimes I just want to like sit and talk about headphones or sit and chat with somebody about something that's not necessarily headphone related. And then, you know, when you go to those events, it's like, I understand that's why you're there, but I just hate feeling like I just go to an event for like one giant ad, right? I hate that feeling. Hate it. Actually, I have a question for Josh. Oh, we don't answer metals questions here. Have you noticed the gain sounds a little different from gains 1, 2 on the 789? I can swear gain 3 has a more slam and is a little bit brighter, but maybe placebo. You know, I don't know. I'd have to test, but I know that when I'm using it, for whatever reason, I hate using it. Or I don't hate using it. I just never really like using it in the stages 1 and 2. And I don't know if it's the same thing. I haven't been paying that much attention to it. Even when I tested it, I didn't notice anything. But like stages 1 and 2, I'd rather just have the volume turned down on stage 3. And so I pretty much just always leave it in stage 3 unless I'm running something really efficient. So you're not alone there, but I don't have any like strong opinions or strong experience with it being like, no, and I'm looking at it right now, that's what I'm looking at. I don't really have any strong opinions or experience with it sounding different. But it's kind of interesting that you have that. I think I have one, like it's mine. Z has one. It sounds like you have one, or you're testing one maybe. I don't know. But what do you think of it? Do you like it, or not your cup of tea? Yeah, yeah. It's treated me really well, and I like the form factor. I like the simplistic build. Um, I'm thinking about putting some feet on the side of it and mounting it sideways. Uh, right now, that's what I'm thinking about at least, but we'll see. Uh, I'm interested in the LCD4. Buy or keep the LCD3. Jazz is my main choice in music. So I will say I am not a huge fan of the threes. I like the fours a lot more. and or I'm sorry, I like the fours a lot more. I'm not sure if I just said that or not. And I would say if you can sell the LCD threes for a good amount of money and you're not going to take a total loss off of what you spent, the either the X or the four is what I would buy with that money. Um, Even for like acoustic or jazz music, like I just wasn't a massive fan of the threes. Although I've heard, I can't verify this myself, but I've heard that Odyssey has some pretty bad driver inconsistency, and that's what people keep telling me. I don't see that, but that might explain my dislike of the threes. But I don't know. I could have had a great pair of threes. I could have had a poor pair of threes. Who knows? But that's that's really a limitation or a potential for any of any headphone really. Have you tried good silver cables? Depends on what you mean by silver and good. Do you mean silver dragon cables? If so, yes, I have tried those. Um, I don't. I'm not a cable believer though. I'm really not. Even if I am a believer in doing what makes you feel like makes a difference. So if you think that cables make a difference and that makes you happy, happiness is the whole, like, everything in this industry revolves around happiness. That is the center, that is the nexus of all of this. So if you enjoy that, then that's all that matters. I have bought EL8 titaniums and the drivers were slightly defective, distortion, and L vibrating. S stack or OL deck. I like the S stack because of the simplicity of it. I don't. I don't know if you can get it right now though. I don't know if Masterop is offering it, and I'm not sure where to buy it. I don't think it's available on Amazon. So if you can't get it though, the OL deck is great too. Do you have a particular benchmark track for revealing headphone performance shortcomings? I don't have a track. I do have an album, and that's the Daft Punk Random Access Memories album. While I can't test everything, it is the most complete test of any album that I've tried so far. Like it covers the most amount of grounds, at least for what I listen to, but not everything. So not a singular track though, no. Um, and even with that Random Access Memories, there are other songs that do everything better. That's just like the most complete album overall. So like if I were to test Treble or Decay or something like that from like Within, which is one of my favorite test tracks, there's tracks that I think have better Treble or Decay. They just don't go along with other things that sound so good. So. Damn, dude, people are really curious about this MDR1A. I've been putting it off because I didn't think people really cared that much, but I might push it up a little bit. Which would you prefer, in general, which would you prefer under $500? Dynamic or planar? Probably dynamic. I don't like every planar under 500, but I also don't like every dynamic, but I feel like you can get a very, very good dynamic for under 500, but you can't really get a very, very good planar in my opinion. You can get a good planar, but not like a great planar. Where did you insert your foam on the DT1990s? Do they help with the treble? Yeah, so it depends on which foam you get though, because certain foams are going to have certain frequencies that they cut out more or less than other foams, and some are going to have more tight frequency adjustments, others are going to have more broad. Some will bring up the bass significantly, some less, so you have to play around with what type of foam you have. But I just put the foam in between the ear pad and the actual foam that's already there, so I just added an extra layer of foam. And I got it measured, and it didn't. The foam that I was particularly using was off of the M220's the AKG M220s, which I think is the same foam as the AKG 240s. The foam that they use, you can buy just the foam from their website, I think, or like from online. Just look up or the K240s. Just look up like AKG 240 foam. You should be able to buy them for a couple bucks. And they knocked out the treble peak by about, I want to say it was close to like 4 or 5 decibels, somewhere around there, but they didn't really massively affect the other ranges. So the mid-range stayed the same, and the top-end frequency stayed close to the same, and the bass stayed close to the same, but it killed the peak a little bit, so it made it a lot more enjoyable for me. Do you use any Bluetooth adapters to make your headphones wireless at home? Not really. I don't have a strong need for Bluetooth. Like everybody gets on me about the damn AirPods. It's like, you don't understand. I don't listen to the AirPods to like listen to the sound quality. I listen to the AirPods because they fit in my pocket. I can take them to the gym and I don't have to give a shit about them. And they link with my phone very easily. Whereas like at home, which is where I do most of my intensive listening, it's pretty much always wired, and I only listen in this room for the most part, so I don't really have a good reason to go wireless necessarily. So, is the LCX worth upgrade from the 2C? Yes. It's not going to sound the same though, but it is, in my opinion, going to sound a lot more complete. When's the Dark Voice review? Within the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's a while, but it is coming. LCD, oh, I already read that. No way. Look at the DIY audio measurements on the Argan treble Canon, but the 19L still resolves way better than it. Yeah. So that's something that, like, I know a lot of you understand this. I'm just saying it for the ones that don't. But there's a difference between brightness and sibilance. And so a bright headphone that resolves well, in my opinion, is going to be a lot more enjoyable than a sibilant headphone that isn't nearly as bright. So I'm not sure exactly the technical reasons behind what causes sibilance, but it's basically like a peak, usually in the S range, that like the driver's not producing any detail there. So it's just like it's like how that light back there, see if I can get it. Well, you know what I'm pointing to basically. It's like how that light is blown out. Like that, you can't see the detail of that light at all because it's too bright for YouTube's like live stream compression. So that's an example of sibilance in brightness. It's not the fact that it's white, because there are lots of white things. It's just the fact that the detail retrieval in that brightness is not there. That's where sibilance is. And so with the 1990s, they're not a sibilant headphone, they're just a bright headphone. And at least that, I'm hoping that I'm explaining that in the way that I want. That's like the difference. So the Argan was a sibilant headphone to me, whereas 1990 was bright, but it had a lot of resolution even in that brightness. How did the 1770s compare to the 1990s? So, talk about bass kings. The 1770s are probably the bass kings. Like, not at all even, not at all a reference bass, but in terms of like amount, they're still probably the hardest hitting, deepest going like headphone I've heard. But they're not nearly as technical as the 1990s are. Same driver, same basic structure, but making them closed has been interesting. And they're also very V-shaped, more V-shaped than the 1990s are. The 1990s measure pretty V-shaped, not massively V-shaped, but pretty V-shaped. The but they don't really sound necessarily like that. They sound very complete. It's hard to explain. I'm not sure why they measure differently than they sound, but they do. What would be an accurate and comfortable headphone for direct monitoring and editing voiceover? Probably like a 58X or a 6XX. Those are going to be really comfortable. Although they are open back, so I don't know. It depends how sensitive your mic is, I guess, and what your pickup pattern is for your mic. No, I was not talking about the foreign categories. You haven't said anything about the folk out clears. They're great. There you go. That's all I'm giving you until Monday. It's coming Monday. 1990 was much worse than the original 770s in my experience. 1990 was really with but I took the Alex over it for bright stuff. Yeah, I mean I found the Alex to have an issue with dynamics. Like, it was super dynamic, yeah, like from a enjoyable or from a technical standpoint, but it wasn't enjoyable for me to listen to. So it was like, it wasn't a bright headphone necessarily. It was just a loud headphone, and that really got to me a lot. Like 1990s brighter, I think, but it just didn't have the loudness that the freaking Alex had. Like, I felt like the Alex was like yelling at me. I was like, damn, son, I don't want this. These comments are hilarious. You could go pretty cheap. Like, M40Xs are great. Sony MDR 7506s are pretty standard in the monitoring industry, although I don't know if they're going to be the most accurate. But yeah, so 7506s, M40s, it's pretty much all I'd recommend. So Phasor versus non Phasor. This is kind of an interesting discussion. I don't really have a strong opinion on it. There are phasored headphones that I like a lot and non phasored headphones that I like a lot, both from Odyssey. So it's hard to say. I think that there are other factors that play into it, like pad choice and things like that. Yeah, I don't have any Odysseys here right now, actually, when I think about it. So, I don't know. Best wireless headphones? I'm not sure. Not sure about the best wireless headphones. I mean, Odyssey Mobius are certainly the most capable wireless headphones because they have like DSP and all that stuff. Yeah, I'd probably say the Mobius maybe. What's the biggest headphone upgrade you've experienced, and did it surprise you? So I think the biggest headphone upgrade was there were two. One was like from no headphones to 600s. That was mind blowing, and then like the second mind blowing thing came from like the 600s to the M1060s. That jump was like, oh, okay, all right. So there's like levels to this shit, like, and that taught me. That was like before I ever started reviewing or anything like that, but that taught me about like sound staging and the different tonalities of treble response, and what I thought was an open sound signature to a much more open sound signature. I was like, okay, wow, like this is what it can really sound like, and then everything from there hasn't been as much of an upgrade. It's been pretty incremental, I guess, but. And then Stacks. I think I built Stacks up a little bit too much in my mind before I heard them, because they were very good, but they just weren't like, you know, world beaters or anything like that. They were just slightly different. They had a very unique sound signature, but it just wasn't quite the upgrade that I was anticipating. But that's my own fault, and probably Z Review's fault for building that up. LCD MX4 anytime soon? Probably not. That style of Odyssey headphone nobody has offered, and I don't know anybody who owns them. So if you got them, please send them in for review. I am very personally curious myself, and I would love to review them, but I don't know. Yeah. Ooh, max settings. MX4 is absolute garbage. Why is that? I'm curious. 1000 SE? I'm not sure what the SE is for, but I'm not sure. Because it's bad. Well, thank you, Metal. That clears things up. I hadn't quite understood after he said garbage. I thought he might have meant it was good. Which Sennheiser headphones were I showing at the beginning of the live stream? Probably the 558s. Frequency response is really strange, and it has something weird going on with the dynamics. It sounds significantly worse than the 2C. That's unfortunate. I did hear something that was in that chassis, though, and so did Z, because we were together at RMAF, and it was like a concept called the Odyssey LCD 24 or something like that. And it was probably the best thing I heard at RMAF, which is funny. And I remember talking to Shankar about it. I'm like, are you guys going to make this? He's like, I don't know, we'll see. I was like, okay, well, damn. It was really good. But it was just a concept. Would you guys buy $1,000 headphones on eBay without returns if possible? I would try and avoid it if at all possible. Like, find somebody who you can borrow it from. And, oh, thank you very much, Peter. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions, by the way. You know, and you guys do not feel obligated to send donations. It's really okay. I'm not one of those live streamers who's like, I only answer. Those people piss me off to where they're like, I only answer the what is that called? The super chat questions. Is that what that's when you pay money to ask a question? Can't stand those YouTubers. Cannot freaking stand them. Sorry. You know, what I'd love to do is I'd love to get a great. What's up, Anthony? How's it going? I'd love to get a great pair or a great bottle of whiskey and just get like one glass and do like a live stream once a week. I think that'd be so sick. Just to like, damn, Radman, or yeah, Radman Chris. I'm sorry, don't. You guys don't need to do that. Like, please stop. But thank you. I do appreciate it. But I'd love to just sit and like talk like this for like an hour or two because I think this stuff is really fun when it's going well. Sometimes though, the questions are like, "What are you talking?" 4Z unfortunately trades off too much air trouble detail for its ease of being driven. Wouldn't buy it. Actually, that's a question that's relatively relevant to things that are going on right now. How much do you guys care about, just say yes for you care, no for you don't care. Do you care how easy a headphone is to drive? Like, is it factor into your buying decision? I'm really curious. I'd love to get a straw poll about this actually going on, but perhaps a different time. Is it true that under the influence increases your oral, sensory, and audiophile levels? Uh, I don't know about alcohol, but I can tell you that THC does. Marijuana definitely does. Um, Now that's got other side effects, but some of the most like entranced you'll ever be when you're listening to music is when you're stoned. So there's that. No, yes, for portability. No, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no, no. So it's like it's kind of close to 50-50. Yeah. So LSD, yes. I want portability, but what if it's like a okay? Let me I guess ask more specifically. So if it's like a big headphone, like a Odyssey headphone or something that is obviously not designed to be portable. Like if you're making a portable headphone, yeah, you want it to be driven off of portable devices. But if you're making something that like doesn't fold up, it's heavy, it's got a big size factor, is that important to you guys? Um, and then I need to check back to see if Peter asked me any questions. Uh, you got no question for me, Peter? Nothing? I mean, I appreciate it either way. I'm just, if you had any questions, like, I definitely want to make sure I answer it. Uh, Nowadays, no. $100 amps can drive almost anything. Yeah, that's true. Especially with how clean they are. Like, the Magni 3 did great things for $100 amplifiers in getting the power requirement or, like, the standard power amount of $100 amplifiers significantly higher. And then I think with the JDS Labs Atom and the Liquid Spark coming in, of having like phenomenal measurements and a decent amount of power, like $100 for amplification gets you so far nowadays, and it's really impressive. Like, this is something that I tried to. Will we see you review a high-end headphone while stoned? No, no. Um, but it's like when you're like, I try and remind myself of this as often as possible, and this is part of why I don't really give that many things bad reviews, but the gear nowadays is so good. Like, the fact that you can get a 5.8X for $150 and drive it off of pretty much anything is amazing. It's like, it's just, what's available nowadays is so cool. Now, you're also starting to see, though, like, a gap in the pricing. Like, now it's pretty commonplace to see companies with flagship headphones well into the thousands of dollars. Like, think about the Empyrean that just came out, right? Like, they went from a $300 headphone to a $3,000 headphone. That's a big jump. And I understand that it's their flagship and everything. Not saying it's not worth it, but it's interesting. It's a large difference. Is it safe to buy M1060s as far as build quality? I don't know if they're going to last a long time, but I do think that they come with, if I'm not mistaken, like a 5-year warranty or something like that, or 3 years. So they come with a pretty good warranty. Although they're definitely not going to feel the best, but and you might want to look into. I found these knit caps here. Hold on, let me grab this real quick. A friend of the show, his name is Matt, sent me these little knit. He didn't make them. He just buys them, but they're basically like this little knit cover that goes over like a headband like this, and then it clips together, and it's supposed to, it actually does add comfort. Specifically, a headphone that I was using it on was the M1060 and the M1060C, and it works super well. LSD review. Yes, somebody likes LSD apparently. Uh, JDS Labs Adam really shocked me for what it sounds like for $100. Yeah, it is. It's very nice. It's very nice. Um, it's like sometimes it's hard to review other amps too because it's like, well, I keep coming back to the same question of like, am I gonna review this or am I just gonna say what I've already said in the JDS Labs? Like a few companies and people have offered to send me amps that are like around the same price range, and it's like, well, this just doesn't do what I haven't heard it, but you know, I can already tell it's not gonna do what the current things out there do. Like it doesn't have the same power, doesn't measure nearly the same. So it's like pretty much the whole crux of the review is just gonna be me saying like, yeah, this is great, but this is better. And so there's a lot of stuff that I turned down because of that. Now with headphones are more like a flavor thing. It's more about feeling out like the flavor and the taste of each headphone to, and then allocating that towards an audience that's going to appreciate it. What headphones am I using? So these ZS comments are pretty funny. Right now I'm using the Sundaras. I unfortunately had to sell my 1990s for now to fund some other projects, including getting the room done. Um, so, uh, yeah. So right now I'm pretty much using the Sundaras as the only pair that I have. It's like constant, um, but I've got like I have a pair of Alexas which I'm trying to sell right now. If you're curious about those, they're literally brand new condition. The owner is asking $650 for them, open for negotiation, and they're like brand new in the box. I brought them out to compare against the clear, and test to see if they worked, obviously. And other than that, they're brand new. So if you're let me know. So let me know if you want them. You can find my email in all my videos in the description. Do you miss the 1990s? Yeah, all the time. All the time. But I'll get them again. And there's a friend of mine locally owns them, so I can hit him up anytime I really am hankering for them. But I've got plenty of stuff here and plenty of good reference stuff as well. Like the Sundaras, I know where the shortcomings are of the Sundaras, and like I've got O2ers here at the moment, Z1Rs, Jade 2s, 1060s, 1060Cs, Bayer Dynamic headphones. I've got lots of stuff here to compare against, so I'm not worried about it. Which headphones piss me off? Is that the same guy who just asked? uh, I don't know. Sometimes I think about the GS 2000Es a lot because it was a really frustrating experience. And on top of that, unfortunately, the packet that headphone is just something that it really bugs me. I don't know and I didn't find out until later how much the XLR portion of it costs. The XLR portion is, I think it's a $300 upgrade to get an XLR cable of it built into it, which is ridiculous, crazy, nuts. It should never ever cost that much. And on no planet should it cost that much, but it does. So yeah, it pisses me off. In case you couldn't tell. Victor, thank you, sir. I'm too tired to ask an audio question. It's almost 2 a.m. in Denmark. Damn. Any travel destination ever been outside the United States? No, unfortunately not. Um, there's a couple travel destinations that I have. I want to go to Bora Bora before it gets wrecked by every Instagram model known to man. Because I actually like to treat places with, respect that they deserve. I would love to go there. Bora Bora just looks incredible. Some of the Philippines looks great. Denmark, I hear, is one of the happiest countries in the world. I would love to travel to Denmark at some point. And you guys have, if I'm not mistaken, you guys have like free healthcare, free childcare, free education, if I'm not mistaken, and like some of the highest statistical rates of happiness on the planet, which is just incredible. And of course, I'd love to go to any place that does that. Um, I I'd like to travel to Alaska. Um, Hawaii was a destination for a long time, but every time I talk to people, like people just say it's really popular to like an unlikable level now, which is a little bit disappointing. Um, and That's just too bad. Um, where else would I like to go? There's some spots. I've been watching a BBC series called Our Planet, and there were some spots there that I would love to travel to. I can't remember what their names are. I'd have to go back and watch the series again. Um, Also, if you guys have like an HDR 4K TV and you really like high quality stuff, I would check out BBC's Blue Planet 2 in 4K HDR. That is one of the most beautifully non CGI filmed videos I've ever seen. No YouTube video compares to it. No movie compares to it. It's just gorgeous looking. A Dolby Vision TV. No, no, I don't. HDR 10 is enough. So HDR, okay, HDR is one of those things where it works well if it's implemented correctly, but most of the people who film it don't know how to implement it correctly, and you just end up with this super dark image, and it doesn't look very good. Now I'm talking about filming, not games. Um, but yeah, like Blue Planet 2 is like one of the most gorgeous things that you'll ever see. And like if if I had known, I would have gone to an IMAX to watch. I think they did showings of it at IMAX. I would have gone to the IMAX theater near me to check it out. So yeah, that was yeah, I do need to check out those Royal Ribbon headphones. I think that was the first show was RMAF when because I think me and DMS's cousin found them first, and then we were like, holy shit! And then we got the other guys, and we're like, come on, come check this out. And then yeah, but I gotta check them out. I gotta check them out. I want to try Dolby Theater versus IMAX in 2019. Haven't done that yet. What? Have you tried both? So the Dolby theaters. Okay, so here's the thing. The Dolby Atmos theaters, they can be very good. The only issue is, yeah, that is one complaint about the BBC thing, is like they really jam their like their methodologies down your throat, and that to me is a little bit disappointing, but whatever. But the Dolby theaters, the problem is the software works really really well because I'm sure you know about it, obviously, but it's what really makes the quality difference is their speaker choice, and all of them use different like sets of speakers, or not all of them, but like each theater has basically their own selection of speakers, so you can get really high quality sound, and then you can get Dolby that has shitty speakers, cool surround sound. And I actually watched Dunkirk in Dolby Atmos. That was some incredible shit. Yeah, so but we don't have a Dolby theater near us, but the theater that we do have near us has pretty decent surround sound system built into it. They don't have overhead stuff, but the reason why I like the theater that we live next to so much is that it's probably 4 minutes away driving, maybe 3. But the speakers that they choose to use are just incredible. They're just so for the loudspeakers that they're using, and they actually use a genuine like behind the screen speakers for the front speakers, and just the quality is some of the best I've ever heard. I just wish it was a Dolby Atmos theater as well, but whatever. Complete Stranger Online. No, I haven't tried any blank. Oh yeah, I guess saying BBC down your throat probably not the best thing I could have said, huh? Right. Probably not. Our TV can't even reach. Oh, I don't need to read that. Oh, whoops. I want my kids to stop watching these cartoons, influence them to do stupid things. I want them to watch Fox News and see Trump. Ain't nothing better than Trump. That's funny. I'm reading his comment, not saying that, by the way. Old Dolby Vision allows for TVs. Oh, I don't need to read that either. I was wondering if you liked any of the Sin 5 series other than. I like the 558s, I like the 598s, and I like the 598Cs. Haven't tried any others though, but I liked all of those. Actually, the 598C is always a closed headphone that I forget about. I don't know why. I loved it. Didn't sound as good as the 598s, but yeah. C4 unsubscribing from what? Dude, I was reading that guy's comment. Chill out, bro. Chill out, unless that was satire, in which I need to chill out. I like my 88 1000 X's for gaming. They're really light on the bass, though. Yeah, I've heard they're pretty good. I just hadn't tried them myself. Greetings from Mexico. Hello. Actually, what you guys probably don't know is my girlfriend is actually a Mexican girl. She's a little Latina. She was born here though, so she's like definitely like Americanized. Sounds wrong. I don't mean to say it like that, but yeah. But like English is her first language, for example. But she's been trying to teach me Spanish, and I've been having this really hard time learning it. It'd be the first language that I learned outside of English, and I don't think my brain is wired to learn other languages, at least not easily, because it's been very difficult for me to learn. My girlfriend's favorite headphones. No, I don't speak Spanish. You don't speak Mexican, you speak Spanish. I know pantalones and tango is dance or something like that, so yeah, well, what I've tried to get her to do is just speak Spanish only and just let it be super frustrating for me, and then I'll like have to figure it out, but I don't think she wants to do it, but I don't know what her favorite headphones are. She really liked the Z1Rs because she's been digging that like Billie Eilish album, and it's a really bassy soundtrack, and that's a pretty bassy headphone, or at least it's got good bass to it. So she liked those a fair bit. I bought her AirPods a while ago. She uses those probably more than anything. She's not really into headphones. She has her things that she cares about, like makeup and cooking, and I don't give a fuck. So I don't expect her to care about my stuff. Can I share a picture of her ears? What the fuck? This is that? Oh man. Danae, hello. How's it going? I acknowledge your comment this time, Danae. What are you doing watching my show? What are you doing? Ear supermodel right there. Oh, whoops. I lost something. Anyways, yeah, that is a hell of a fetish. That's weird. How's it going today? How are you doing? Did you figure out your plans yet? And I'm curious. Hey, around how long do you spend editing and stuff? Kind of interested in something similar but not related to headphones, and I like around where your content is sitting in terms of production quality. So it's somewhat difficult to quantify directly because your quality is really going to depend a lot on, one, your gear, and two, how you know how to use it. So, if you try and get scenes like me right away, if you don't have any experience, it's probably going to be very difficult to get there. And I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I'm just saying that in like, I've made videos almost every single day for over a year. That's a lot of experience. So that portion goes into it. An average video though, planning on asking him 224. When is that? What's the date today? Hold on. Oh, okay. Wow, that's a long time from now. You don't see him between now and then? Really? Okay, anyways. And so on an average video though, not including the actual listening portion, which takes up the most amount of time between filming, editing, and upload, I'll probably spend about, I'd say, 7 to 8 total hours. Not including rendering time. Rendering, because I render in 4K with really really dense 4K. Rendering times, I'm probably looking at 9 hours of total video editing time per video. But I try to kind of overlap my videos so that I'm not working like 8 hours on the same exact project between shooting, editing, shooting some more usually because I usually forget to film something, and then posting. So I try and schedule it over the course of a long time. Yes, I do want to ask him after school day so people can see I'm a dedicated girlfriend. And also because I'm extra. Okay. Alright, you do that. Make sure to have somebody take pictures for your Instagram though. Because there's no point in showing people that you're extra unless you capture it on a photo, right? How long do you spend? Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's a lot of work though. It's not easy, but it's very fulfilling regarding the YouTube stuff. So if you want to make it happen, you do happen. Or make it happen. What car do you own? I own a 2001 Chevy Tahoe, one of the best cars ever made. By the way, cars for the most part are a massive scam. I don't know if you knew this, but financially they're like one of the worst things you can possibly spend your money on. So I love cars, but just, they're financially a bad decision. Yeah, I do have a large collection of 100% GM. New GM, not very great. And old school GM, like early 2000s, late 90s, is like the real sweet spot for GM. But not so much anymore. And thank you, Viper. Anyone have a good DAC amp? Oh, I think I already answered that question. You're the ideal thickness, very central and voluptuous. Oh, am I? Thank you. Your preference line up. Wait, does your preference line up with any reviewers? These recommendations line up with what I like. We joke about it, but like me and DMS hate each other's recommendations most of the time. They don't line up exactly. Metal's somewhat line up with me, but his are kind of hit or miss for me in terms of preference. Sometimes we line up, sometimes we don't. Not sure why exactly that is. And Z likes a lot of things, so you know he kind of shotgun blasts recommendations, so it's bound to line up sometimes. But I'm a little bit more. I'm not as strict as DMS, and I'm not as strict as Metal, but I'm more strict than Z. So I'm kind of right in the middle there. Yeah, dude, that mid-engine Corvette, I'm not sold on the looks yet, but a lot of times when they make like their like ZR1 version of it, or you know, once you start seeing what people do for aftermarket modifications, I really want to see what it looks like with all those mods on it. Because it looks like it could be a great bass, although it looks very similar to an NSX right now. But I'm super curious about the performance numbers and what that's going to do, because it looks sick. Like, so cool. So cool. And mid-engine cars, if they're built well in almost every circumstance, they're superior to even mid-front engine cars, which are a thing that most people don't know about. But a car can be mid-front engine, and mid-engine is generally referred to mid-rear, and then you can have a rear-mounted engine like a lot of the Porsches, for example. I'm not talking to you, Metal. I know you know all this stuff. Yeah, I do like warmer stuff. I don't know about it. I don't know if it's then most. I think the general sound signature that people like is a warm sound signature. I think people just think it sounds nicer. And yeah. What's my experience with photography, videography? I tried to. The first camera I ever bought was a Canon 70D with the 15mm 1.8. I tried to be a photographer, but I didn't know quite how to market, so I did like friends and family basically for free, and I never really got good while I was doing that, and then I just started doing YouTube, and then I just started doing YouTube more and more, and that's pretty much been my experience. So everything has been self-taught or watching YouTube videos or asking online, trying to find my own style, stuff like that. Yeah. I just bought a bike rather than a car. Bicycle or motorcycle? Either way, good for you. Motorcycles are great. Bikes are great. Bicycles are great. Front engine cars are better. Changed my mind. Okay. You mean like besides the fact that mid-engine cars are actually statistically safer from both a impact crash standpoint and a roll standpoint. They also don't really affect really any downside to performance, unlike a front engine car, which has to calculate for a larger size crankshaft, weird weight distribution, less traction on the rear wheels, which is generally where your force is going to be applied. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons, really. Listening to the stream, old 1990s, I bet you missed them. Hey! Oh, you're the guy who bought them. Yeah, makes sense, man. That's funny. Yeah, I do miss them. It's one of the most dead sounding things I've ever heard. It has zero dynamics. What is max settings talking about? I think I missed something. Matt says, oh, I like those headphones, whatever. I don't know what they were talking about, whatever. Doesn't matter. Voce. Voce was very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Motorcycles aren't great for your health. No, not really. Yeah, the Viper was sick, man. Ketchup says, when will an actually informative review be up? I have to commend him for six talking some shit but backing it up with a couple bucks. Oh man. Oh no. Did it just freeze? Oh, it freezed on my computer. Okay. Let's see how much battery. Okay, so that's great. I don't know. Keep an eye out. Keep watching them. And let me know what you consider informative. Maybe I can help. Oh man. Uh, yeah, actually, speaking of headphone stands, I really haven't found one that I love. Um, I've got a silver one from Just Mobile, uh, who somebody actually sent me, and I really like it. The only issue with it is that it's not tall enough to calculate for the cable, so you have to detach the cable um, every time you want to use the stand for most headphones. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Um, but yeah. Top five movies in no particular order. I'm gonna say Interstellar, The Revenant. Mm, I I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with the other three. Like, there's a lot of good ones. Inception was amazing. Um, uh, and another Nolan film, but The Prestige is like so underrated as well. The Dark Knight was fantastic. That's another Nolan film. He makes a lot of great films. It's by far my favorite director. Um, hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I do like drama though. I do like drama. Uh, so Nolan's films are really long, but I like it. Oh yeah, I guess that is one downside is like the maintenance. I don't really think cornering and braking though, because if you do have properly set up cornering and braking, which any mid-engine car should be, um, like we're talking about the realm of performance cars, right? Like a mid-engine SUV doesn't make any sense because you wouldn't have room for passengers. But like for a performance car, like your braking should already be on point, and your weight distribution in a mid-engine car is a whole lot safer, and your exit speed is a whole lot higher in a mid-engine car because you have a lot more traction in the back. So the maintenance is like the biggest issue with a mid-engine car like that. Um, yeah, like Nolan's films are incredible. Dunkirk is like, it's funny how, like, to show how versatile Nolan is, like with The Dark Knight, he created one of the most talked about, potentially one of the, in my opinion, one of the best villains of any movie ever, being the Joker. And he was able to do that, and then within a decade, I think it was a decade, whatever. But within his film career, he also made a great war movie, being Dunkirk, where there isn't really a significant enemy at all. Like, you don't even see the face of a single German. Like, you see a shadow, or not a shadow, but a blurred out version at the very end. But in that entire movie, you never see the enemy, which is incredibly interesting and very, uh, not very often done at all. Actually, I don't know if that's ever been done. And yet, both movies have a fantastic story to them, but they're polar opposite. One is like the the building of anticipation and kind of a less is more situation, and then the Dark Knight 2 is like the opposite. It's the brilliance of a maximum amount of information condensed down to, and in a way that doesn't feel overbearing. And for his versatility there, like, it's incredible. It's just crazy. Sorry, but that's just me getting all weird about stuff. But yeah, mid-engine cars are not. I didn't mean maintenance as in it was a downside for reliability. I meant that, like, actually working on a mid-engine car is difficult, because usually you can access the top easily and you can access the bottom easily, but you can't really access the front and the back very easily most of the time. Depends on the engine and the car, of course. There are definitely front engine cars that are very easy and very hard to work on as well. So yeah, that out of fuel scene was epic. Thoughts on the Star Wars trailer? So, um, one, I want to know what they're doing with the damn dream sequences. Does kind of tick me off a little bit. Actually, I think that was a Ryan Johnson specific thing, wasn't it? Um, so I have questions about it because um, I just don't know what's a dream sequence and what's actually happening. So it's hard for me to get invested. I will say though that that trailer was well done enough to make me want to see the film. I'll have to see more trailers as time goes on, and I'll probably see it just because my curiosity is going to get the better of me, regardless. Um, but it's just, I don't know. Like, I got really excited about it. The Death Star being like broken and in pieces was sick, like so cool. The laugh at the end, I want to know if that was. It sounded like Sidious, but it could have easily been Snoke, because it's like, I don't know. I just want to know. I'm curious what they're gonna do with Rey. I really want an answer to her, where she comes from, what she is. The title somewhat makes me believe that she is a Skywalker, but that could also be Luke. He could come back. It could be Anakin. It could be all three. If they go really crazy, I don't know. It could be a lot of things, and it's just difficult. But yo, Random Frank P, what's up, boss? Oh, you actually bought them? Sweet. Did you get them? Cause they're pretty crazy. they're probably what the other ones you were considering. I think, if I recall correctly, were the Kefs, right? So let me know what you think about them if you got them already. If not, you're probably waiting on them. But I hope you like them, man. I hope you like them. But glad to see you back, man. What are you working on over at your channel? And if you guys don't know, Rand Frank P is a pretty popular tech YouTuber, so you should definitely go check him out and subscribe because he makes some pretty high quality content. Definitely higher quality than mine, that is for sure. Oh, it is confirmed it's Emperor Palpatine. So, that's kind of, one of the things that I like about, like Game of Thrones, for example, is that there are serious and permanent consequences to everything. And when, like, the Star Wars trailer, for example, gets gets, you know, it's like Palpatine's coming back. It's like, well, it's like you start to enter this realm where it's like, all right, so people kind of can permanently die, but then they really can't. So you start to lose the seriousness and gravity of the situation. So, yeah, I don't know. But I think I saw a small portion of, yeah, and you know, another thing is like it may not even be Palpatine coming back. It could just be him kind of just, um, you know, being in like a vision or something like that. And that's why I don't like the visions that much, is because it's like you could just do anything you want, put it all in the trailer, and have everybody get excited about it, but then it's actually not a legitimate aspect to the story. So, I don't know. Yeah, he could be a ghost too, but I think Frank went in and I think he left. He just popped in. But, oh, I think you sold me on the Savannah 2 Encores. Okay, so I don't think he's bought them yet, but either way. Cool of him to stop by. Not yet. I went yesterday to Best Buy to test the LSX. Oh, that's the other one. Um, a few times so sold. Sweet. Yeah, the Kefs are good, but like none of the Kefs so far have really like knocked my socks off quite like the Vanities did. And the Vanities are definitely pricey, and they don't look as nice. Like, I'll be the first to admit that, but man, they just sound great. They sound great, and they're so versatile. But you have to come back on like another live stream or video or something. Let me know. Let me know how you liked them once you get them. Also, like another thing is, Vanatu is actually only two guys outside of the people who actually build their speakers. It's Rick and Gary, and there's only two guys who work on the entirety of Vanatu, outside of the actual manufacturing process. And they're actually local here, which is a happy coincidence, I guess. But I've talked to them a few times, and they're really, really nice. Yeah, yeah. The aesthetics of the Kefs are they're gorgeous. Like, they're undeniably beautiful. Yeah, Jar Jar Binks coming back would be funny, but um, could you imagine if they played that whole trailer, and at the end, instead of Palpatine laughing, it was like Jar Jar being like Misa Misa. Oh my God, that would have been the best. That would have been the best. Oh jeez. I mean, I probably would have like just written off the entire Star Wars saga forever if that had happened, but it still would have been funny either way. But I kind of, you know what I wish companies would do with like their official Twitters, kind of like how Wendy's is doing it with like the swift comebacks and things like that. I wish they would stop taking things so seriously, and they'd like be willing to joke around with their audience. Um, yeah, Frank, let me know, man. I appreciate it, and good luck. They're a great pair of speakers. Hope you like them. Um, yeah. So yeah, the Jar Jar Binks thing would be hilarious. And yeah, Kef. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of the higher end Kefs. They definitely have an aesthetic going on, and sometimes aesthetics can be beneficial, to how they operate, but not always, not every time. And you know, with a company like that, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of companies have multiple philosophies for how they operate. speaker manufacturers want to make the absolute best speaker that they can. Some speaker manufacturers want to make beautiful, good sounding speakers. Some speaker manufacturers want to make beautiful speakers. And they don't always align. And Kef, to me, tries to strike a balance of beautiful and good sound quality. And the only reason why I say that they care so much about, or care enough about sound, is because they tend to have a really consistent sound signature of the ones I've heard. So it's like, it's obvious that they're paying attention to it and tuning it to be a specific way. It's just a matter of what you like. So 558 and 598. Yes, there's a difference. I don't have them back to back though, to be able to tell you with confidence as to what that difference is. But, and it's been a while. It's been almost a year since I heard the 598, and I don't know if my audio memory is that good, or my auditorial memory is that good, but I seem to remember, I don't think they sounded the same. I don't think. So, we're going for about an hour and a half, or 2.5 hours now, geez. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. My voice is starting to get a little hoarse, and I still got to watch a bunch of Game of Thrones stuff in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And we'll try and do this again next week. Emphasis on the word try. Maybe not. Game of Thrones is coming out tomorrow, so if you guys are interested in that, check that out. I'll be checking it out too. And maybe next weekend we can talk about the first episode. Although it might be too early for spoilers, so